everyone! I'm back again. ProShow Producer works in a path-specific manner. That means when you create a show, you may add files from different folders on your computer, and Producer notes the path to where all your files came from. Some show creators gather the files they will be using for a show and places them in a folder or folders, and that is where they add the files from. I can't create shows like that because I never know when I start a show how I will progress with it. I create shows on the fly, so to speak, and as I go along, ideas just pop into my head, and sometimes they pop straight back out again if I decide I don't like something. So I can gather files from different areas where video effects are stored, frames, images, photos, and the list goes on. This tutorial is to show you what to do if you want to share and send a show to someone else, or if you have completed a show and want to put it into storage. Then I recommend doing this as well, especially as over time you may move files you used in the show, and if you have not collected the show files previously, when you open the show again, you will get the dreaded missing files prompt, because Producer goes to the folder you added files from, and if the file or even the folder has been shifted, then Producer cannot find the files again. I am using my blue Christmas gnomes as the example of how to share and send shows or store them. The little girls in blue are AI generated. I have opened up the slide options window, and you will see when I hover over one of the photos that the path to the Little Miss Blue 3 photo is on C drive, users folder, admin folder, documents folder. Now that my show is completed, and I intend on sending it to my girlfriend or sharing it in the group, then I have to let Producer now work its magic and gather all the files I used in the show from wherever they are. Firstly, I have to create a folder for Producer to gather all the files in my project. Open Windows Explorer and add a new folder. I usually add a new folder inside the Documents folder. I usually just prefix the folder with final so it identifies the final of the project files that Producer copied them to. I go up to the Tools menu and choose Collect Show Files. When the Collect Show Files window opens, you will see the pane on the left lists all the files I used in the show and the path to the folders where the files were added from. On the right top pane, Producer lists all the files in your show by content type, how many files, and the total size, which is quite handy to know. I click on the Browse button and navigate to the folder I made for the final. I click on the folder, then click OK. Producer then collects all my files from wherever they came from and copies them to this final folder. It usually only takes half a minute or less. After Producer has collected all the files, I get a pop-up message, giving me the choice of using the original show in the timeline or using the collected show. I always choose the original show option just as a safeguard. I am doing this screen recording inside a VM, so it's a little bit slow showing you. I then close the show and exit out of Producer. This is now the magic of Producer. Producer automatically creates 3 folders inside the final Blue Gnomes folder. It names the folders Audio, Image, and Video, and Producer copies all audio files into the audio folder, same with all images, and same again for all videos in their respective folders. And the most amazing task that Producer performs when collecting files is to make a brand new PSH show file, and within that new show file, the path for all the elements has been changed to these 3 folders. That is magical, because if I didn't carry out the Collect Show Files process and sent my show files to my girlfriend, she would run the show, then get a whole lot of missing files prompts in the show because her producer will be trying to find the files, and it can't because they are on my computer. This is why it is so handy when you want to store shows. By letting Producer gather all your folders into the 3 folders it created, and you put that into storage, it wouldn't matter if you want to shift or delete any files you used in the original show. Because by Producer creating a brand new show file, Producer will find every element it needs in the 3 folders and won't go trying to find them on your computer. This is why the collect show files process is critical to the success a recipient of the show will have. This is the perfect way Producer does its magic. I created some custom transitions for this particular show, so I need to copy the transitions into my final folder so the recipient of the show can add them to their effects manager in their Producer. I go to the folder where Producer stores the added transitions, which is on C drive. Double-click the Program Data folder. If you cannot see the Program Data folder, don't worry. The Program Data folder is classed as a hidden file or hidden folder, and it is hidden by default when the Windows operating system is installed. To see the Program Data folder, just go up to the View menu, down to Show, and click on Hidden Files or Hidden Folders depending on which operating system you have installed. I copy all the transitions I used in the show. I go back to the final folder and create a new folder called Transitions, and it is inside that new folder that I paste the transitions into, so the recipient of my show can install the transitions, and the show will run just the same as it did on my computer. If I have used a non-standard Windows font in my show, then I like to include that font as well for the recipient. I go to the C drive, double-click the Windows folder, then double-click the Font folder, and I then find the font and copy it. I then go back to my final folder and make a new folder and call it Font. I paste the font into that folder. This means the recipient will get the exact final show I made with any transitions and even the font. If you don't include the font, then Producer will just use a substitute, which may not look the best. The recipient of the show just has to double-click on the font in the folder and click Install, and that's it, all done. Fonts are not stored in Producer. Fonts are stored in the Windows Fonts directory. Every single program you use, for example Microsoft Word, or Excel, or PowerPoint, or any other software besides Producer, they all share the fonts in the Windows Fonts directory. Even Producer shares the fonts. Producer programmers did not create a separate repository for fonts. It's much better to use the fonts on the recipient's computer. If you have used a non-standard font in your show and didn't include the font for the recipient of the show, then when the recipient opens the show in Producer, they will get a missing font prompt, which can be annoying, and not everyone knows how to find fonts on the internet and install them in their Windows Fonts directory. This happens to me from time to time when I load a show that someone else has made and the font prompt comes up as missing, so I just go on the free fonts websites I use and find the font and install it. However, sometimes the fonts someone uses are not very nice looking, so I don't bother. I just select a different font, and when I save the show, it will save the show with the different font. I have opened a show collected by Producer in Producer. I will hover over a file or two to show you the original path the files has been changed to the 3 new folders Producer made for us. This is just to show you the difference when I open the collected files show, and you will see Producer has done its great work and produced a brand new show file with the path of the contents changed. So Producer now looks for all the elements in the 3 folders it created when collecting the show files. In this video, you will see when I hover over files, and the tooltip shows that the path to the file is via the final folder, so when my girlfriend loads the show, the path will always lead to the 3 folders and won't try and look for the files on my computer if I had sent the original show. What I did was, I opened the final show to have a look at it, and in doing so, another file now appears in the folder. This file with the extension .pxc is the cache of the show. Whenever you start creating a show, or open a show from someone else, Producer always creates a cache file. The cache simply helps the user's computer open the show much quicker from the second time onwards, which is a big help if you're doing work on the show over a period of time. The cache file on a computer is mainly there for speedy retrieval, just the same as when a browser creates a cache file while you're browsing on the internet for quicker retrieval of a web page if you go back to it. Sometimes over several sessions with the show, the cache file can become corrupt. If you start having issues with your show not working or responding properly, it is usually because the cache file is corrupt. All you do is go into the project folder where you have saved your PSH show file and delete the cache .pxc file, which has the same name as your show. Producer will create a brand new cache file when you load the show the next time. Always delete the PXC cache file before you zip up a project for sending it to someone. Its file size is big, very big, and that means longer uploading times for you and longer downloading times for the recipient. If you forget to delete it and include it in the package, the recipient's computer will create a brand new cache file to replace the one that came with the package, as it was only relevant to the creator's computer. You may also see a file with an extension of POH. This is just the history log of the show file and is no longer necessary. It is just log tracking of your activities and not really relevant.